I'm Peter. I'm a sophomore at UPenn. I transferred from Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut, and I'm originally from New York City. Yeah, so I transferred because I think being from an urban environment and going to a school that is just so isolated, like Middletown, Connecticut, it definitely made me want to be back in a place where I wouldn't feel so psychologically trapped. And I think that Philly does a great job with that, where it's so convenient to just take an Uber to go to Center City or like the aquarium, for example. They're just like a quick ride away, and I think it's a great place where I'm also around a much larger student body because Penn is about 4 times the size of Wesleyan. So it was definitely a big change going from like small liberal arts college to like big research university, but I think it was definitely like the right adjustment for me. Yeah, so I live in Gregory, which is one of the college houses on campus. It's located on Spruce and 40th, and I really like it. I think that during the beginning of the year especially, it's so nice because you're possibly going to be roomed with a lot of other transfer students. I know a lot of them live above me, and a lot of my great friends are in that hall. And it's just nice because you have people that are like so conveniently located to you, but also so similar in the sense that you're all kind of going through this weird adjustment together. So it's great to just have that kind of built-in community. Yeah, so I am a tour guide for UPenn through the Kite and Key Society. I'm also involved in the internal branch of Muse Marketing Club, which is based out of Warden. And then I am a committee member for the events committee of the Penn Fashion Collective and a member for J Bagel, which is the Jewish LGBT group. Yeah, after Penn, ideally, I'd want to go into a job somewhere along the lines of, I think, marketing, retail, or publications. I really noticed that that was where my interests lie when I was taking my like intro to marketing class first semester, and through the marketing club, I got to have dinner with a professor, and I just noticed that he was an incredibly cool guy, and we had a lot of the same interests, and everything that he said he'd done with his job just seemed like something that I would dream about doing. So that's definitely where I want to go after Penn. I also think that Penn is really great as far as helping you like network and reach out to people to help you get there. I know that there are tons of like extensive online databases that you can use where you can connect with alums, and all those people that graduate are like purposely putting themselves out there for students to reach out to them because they just really had a great experience, and because you already have this like Quaker connection, they're really happy to help you out. Okay, so I picked Penn because I think I just want to be in a place that was A, in a city, and B, larger. I think a lot of the schools I was considering were also kind of similar to Penn, except they were either really isolated or I'd have to take a plane to go there. Plus, I think Penn just had a lot more, I think, opportunities as far as the clubs and the ways to get involved on campus go. I also think that when I was deciding between which school to go to the second time around, I tried to kind of think in my head what the typical student would be like, and I knew that for Wesleyan I had this image of what the typical student was. However, for Penn, I couldn't really pinpoint that to just one image because I think Penn is the kind of place where you can have any experience you really want because it is so big and because it does offer so much that I think I definitely made like the perfect choice. And I mean, I thought like long and hard about it, but it was definitely worth it. I think academically it's been fine. I think the main difference between Wesleyan and Penn is just that the teachers expect a lot more from you. I mean, Wesleyan was a competitive school, however, I think here there's just a larger quantity of the work that has to be done. I think the transition in general has been really smooth. It's really nice because the TSO, the Transfer Student Organization, makes a huge effort to really make sure that there's this community that you're coming to Penn with. Because it's kind of strange how you have like the like naivete of a freshman, but you're also kind of somehow settled like a sophomore. So you're like first semester sophomore and you come here, which is a strange territory to be in. But I think they do a great job making sure that there are fun events for you to meet people at, and just kind of realize that you're not alone in this adjustment, whereas you may have felt kind of like alone or out of it last year. There are so many other people at Penn who are just in the same situation as you. I think the most difficult adjustment to make has just been adjusting to Penn's size. I think, well, last year, Wesleyan being much smaller had around like 750 students per year. So coming to Penn, I was definitely a little surprised at how it's a little harder to just run into people because it doesn't happen that often. Whereas last year you would see the same people at every meal. At Penn, I think it definitely does happen because Locust Walk is comparable to a high school hallway where you see everyone that you know. But even so, like, I had to kind of seek out the people that I want to see again, and then that turned into a friendship and over again. But I think after a while, it just seems a lot more manageable. Transfer tips. Just be really open-minded. I think if you go in without any expectations, it's going to be great. I think if you go in with the feeling that you have to make up for your freshman year, that's not really the great mindset, because I think when it's right, it's right. Because I think when I came to Penn, I immediately started meeting a lot more people and getting really involved, and I quickly realized that I was a lot more settled and acclimated than a lot of students who came here freshman year. I also think that just from like personal experience, if you ever try to plan something out in your head really thoroughly, it never really goes that way, and I think college is just an example of that. Something that I wish I had known about Penn is that there are a lot of different social circles, and the problem isn't really finding your scene, but choosing which scene you want to be part of. I think there are a lot of different, a lot of different social groups at Penn. There are like different bubbles of like pockets of 200 people that you may have never met, but then all of a sudden you'll meet one of them and have a whole other network of people. But I think that Penn is kind of, if I were to kind of get visual about it, I would say that Penn is kind of framed out like a really complicated Venn diagram where you have a lot of overlapping circles, and then within the middle there are different kind of like people who belong to, let's say, the Jewish and the Greek community. So that kind of person is the intersection of the two of those. But you never really have to become part of a social scene that you don't really want to, because Penn is just such a large place. But at the same time, it's not so large that it's kind of like impossible to manage. Come to Penn. Yay.